Thanks, Marshall. Welcome everyone to today's Q&A. My name is Gary Gerber. I'll be hosting the Q&A, and Paul Higgins will be driving documentation for us. Not a lot in the way of announcements. We had tons of flashes last week, but nothing this week. Just a reminder that for those that are wanting to know, end of year will be starting in May 7th, and the training for end of year will begin mid to late April. And so what that means too is you don't have to wait till the end of the year to start submitting some of your end of year files. You may choose to, because a lot of them you can't, or you may not be able to until the students have exited school for the year. But you could always upload some and start testing the waters. And there are some files that you could update. The other thing is you can check your data discrepancies for end of year and maybe get ahead on any errors that you have there. That would mean you wouldn't be getting them during the certification. Also, I wanted to say that the CSCS CALPADS service desk, you may have gotten an email or notification, but we will be closed Friday. So no one will respond to your tickets if you put them in on Friday, if you're working Friday. Angela, did you have anything regarding any issues or anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Okay, and Sean from CDE, did you have anything that you wanted to mention?
Nope, we're all good today. Thanks, Gary.
All righty. Well, there's a lot of people. We thought it was going to be slower this week for some reason, but because of spring break, but apparently all of us worker bees don't get spring break. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started as soon as I get my chat window so I can read it. Okay, first Q1 is from Charlene. How to verify if a particular student is still in the foster youth group. I have a student missing from the ODS 5.7. When I looked up in online maintenance local foster match using the SSID plus the client ID, I got the message saying the SSID is already matched. Does that mean the student should be included in the 5.7? Maybe they were former foster, maybe they're in the 5.9. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that.
That's correct. Oh, go for it, Nate.
Yeah, I was going to say that's right, Gary. The 5.7 is currently enrolled students who are current foster youth, and the former foster youth are currently enrolled students who were formerly foster youth for LCFF purposes. So I would look at the 5.9 report, the student list, to see if the student's listed. And as far as trying to do the manual match, that just means that the client ID or the case ID is assigned to the student. So if they're a former foster youth, the student has already been identified. It doesn't mean that they're currently. It just means that those records are associated to the student.
Thanks, Nate.
And then I'll just add on to there, just ensure that that student meets the guidelines for foster youth as well too, for the LCFF purposes. And Charlene, I am responding to your ticket right now for those links. I included them in the regional in the notes, but here they are here too.
Okay, next is a Q1 from Sonoan. For the summer EBT data pool on March 29th, will it be based on data at 12 a.m. or later that night or at 11:59 p.m.? Does anyone know the answer to that?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, Gary.
She's asking if for the summer EBT data pool on the 29th, will that be at 12 a.m. or later that night or at 11:59 p.m.? So
It's actually neither. It is, and Angela or Martha, correct me if I'm wrong. It's as close of business, and so I think CALPADS cuts off at like 10 p.m. or so, and then it needs to be that posting time that it has to be posted before then. We also have to factor in, because we have to factor in, what is it, Eastern Standard Time or something like that? So
Ah,
get it in by close of business, like
okay.
you guys close at 5 o'clock or so. To make things simple on you, I would just say get it in by then.
Good strategy. Laura has a comment. Actually, it looks like a lot of people's spring break is next week. So, Paul, you're going to be the one with the lower turnout at the Q&A. Okay. Q1 from Rebecca. Most district people are year-round, and we're not off when the students are off unless we take vacation. Oh, it's a comment one. I'm sorry. Thanks, Rebecca. And it is the best time to get work done. Oh, the window's popping around on me. Okay. Question one from this is question one from Rebecca. Sorry, when did you say the Thesis Bridge classes start? And Kyron answered, but mid-April they'll be going on mid to late April. And an announcement will be out soon. Question one from Yesenia. Where can I find the 16.1 Student with Disabilities Education Plan by Primarily Disability Count Report? Okay. So that would be an older report that we replaced with the redesign with the new reports. So it would now be the 16.12 as Kareem mentioned here. But if you are looking for the older reports, because the 16.1 is still there from the previous years, you could go, like Paul's showing you on the window, you could go to the certification status and then select the previous year. And then when that comes up, select the submission period. And then those reports there underneath the certification screen will be the older reports. Okay, Q1 from Cream. A course code with a 1000 self-contained class can have standards grades range of mid, but cannot be middle school core, right? And actually, Kyron answered that. That is correct. Please refer to the middle school core setting definition, and he gave a link there for you. Q1 from Suen. This window. Our chat window, we can't use the Q&A because there's a reason for that. So we have to use the chat, but anytime any comments are made, our windows just go flying everywhere. I lost, okay, here it is. Q1 from Suan. Last week, a question was asked about completing testing for students who change districts before testing is complete. Is there any documentation or website from the CDE on direction steps for handling students who change districts before testing is complete at the prior district? Please don't say the student should complete testing at the prior district.
So, Sue-Ann, I mentioned last week too that this information is going to be in the LPAC guide, which is on the ETS website. They also have like a useful just search tool there. And to me, that's the easiest way to be able to find it. But yes, that information is located on the ETS Tom's CAS website.
Okay, question one from Heidi. When will the regional meeting recordings be uploaded to YouTube? Marshall, do you do those?
I'll take the hit on that one. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Marshall
yeah.
is currently working on them. If you can please give us just a little bit of time and grace. We had some trouble getting it over to our counterparts over at CSIS.
Yeah, I'll try to have it where you can see it, Sean, by the end of this week.
Okay, great. So hopefully another week and a half, everyone. And that's my target date, but if not, I might need 2 weeks. Sorry.
Okay. Well, folks, that's all the questions. Unless I missed somebody, if anyone noticed I missed one, but that's all the questions.
Well, 11 minutes. I think that's a record that
That
even
would be a
tops
record.
the holiday time kind of thing. Yes.
Did you? I see one or I see a couple at the bottom at 311 timestamp from starting with Carrie Jackson, or I'm sorry, Jacobson.
Oh, this one. That's what Angela predicted this question. I'm sorry, I missed this one. Q1 from Carrie. I have several plans 637 E4 data discrepancies, but I cannot find an error definition for them. There's nothing new in the summary grid or error list. Has this error been removed, renamed, or temporarily made unavailable? So this error was just turned on. You can find a definition for the plan 0637F1, which pretty much has the same resolution. Basically, you want to change the SWS from, if the student's no longer enrolled, it hasn't gone anywhere, you want to change the SWS record from eligible and participating to eligible and not enrolled. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to that?
That's correct, Gary. You just want to make sure that if a student's not enrolled, but you're reporting a status that the student is eligible and participating, that's a conflict. So you want to make sure to resolve that either by submitting a different status or potentially enrolling student.
Great, thanks, Dominic.
And we are working to get it in the error list, so it's not there yet. It's correct.
Be updated by next week, Kyron says. And I do see some more questions have popped in. Thank goodness. I thought we were going to be done already. Question from Q1 from Sandy. With certification cycles, which certification cycles are being produced in data discrepancies? I chose from the various cycles in the dropdown and apply filter. The only results are from fall 1. You should see some in end of year. If you have some, maybe you don't have any in end of year 4, but I know that's where the 637 is showing up. I don't know about if there's any for fall 2.
Also, make sure you click apply filter when you change between submissions too, so that'll refresh the screen.
So Paul's showing you there. And then you'd hit apply filters. Okay. Question 1 from Audrey. The 16.21 reports currently show plan reviews as overdue when they are exactly 1 year after the previous meeting because of the leap year. Do we have an ETA on this if it's going to be fixed? I know we send those tickets to the CD SPED team, but I'm not sure where we're standing on that. But you're right. If it's exactly one year and it's the leap year, it's not right.
I don't think a decision has been made. We talked about it earlier today, whether or not the report would use particular formatting in SQL to pull the data to account for leap year, or whether it would be 365 days, 1,095 days, however it works out. So a decision hasn't been made yet.
Okay, so that'll be coming, Audrey. Question 1 from Robin. Which of the weapon category codes would I use for a firecracker? How about pepper spray?
She wrote below that she suspected that it was going to be the 40 other NI. She is correct.
Okay.
That's where you're going with that.
Okay. Since we don't have that many questions, I'm just going to go right into Q2 from Charlene. Q2, about foster youth students again, can I assume that the ODS report 5.7 has the most updated students? I believe that's correct.
No,
No. Oh,
Paul's on
not.
the page. You see when that page has been updated right there. There, one line down. There you go. So that's when it was last updated, and that's posted on the homepage all the time. I think we refresh that one every 2 weeks, if I recall correctly.
Good. I forgot about that. Okay, Q1 from Wendy. If a student has an open Program 101 record in CALPADS with our ELEA school with an eligibility start date in a previous school year, do we need to close it and add a new record with a start date in this current year?
The 101 again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's the
101 to 504.
Oh, so
Thank
the
you
data
so
guide
much.
says you don't have to close those out.
So the 504 programs, they should be reviewed annually. CALPADS doesn't recommend, or CALPADS does not state that you have to close them out annually. So it's a local decision, Wendy. And so I would definitely talk to your your like child welfare and attendance monitor, who'd be over like that, the 504 programming, and just you guys should have like a local practice to ensure that those have been reviewed annually, whether it's tracked in your SIS system or somewhere else.
Just past the call.
So you can see when that date was that you can ensure that yes, they did review that student. And if not, they haven't reviewed that student, then you need to be able to go ahead and close out that program.
Yeah, and Paul's showing you in the data guide where that's what Sean just said. Anna Brown asked Q1, is there a list of post-secondary status definitions available? And that should be in the code sets document. And Chris answered that and put in a link for you.
Marshall, can you promote Meredith to a co-host?
Oh, just in time because we have another one here. Okay, Q1 from Bitney. I have some planned 637E4s that came up for students who moved in prior years and are not enrolled in CALPADS anywhere now. I fixed a few by entering a new SWDS through the online mittens as of their X date. The files posted. I have a data discrepancy runtime just under 2 hours after the file posted, but the data discrepancies did not clear. Those should clear with the next run and not have to wait overnight, right?
Right.
Yes. So it may take longer than 2 hours. If they're still not cleared after a little while, you might want to put a ticket in. We can just verify. But sometimes you'll click on the error and it won't show up the error will still be there, but nothing will show up for the error, which means they're cleared, but it just hasn't fully processed out of the system yet. So I'm not sure if that's happening for you or not, but then for sure they'll go away. Question 2 from Sonoan. When resolving ERDs, should it be corrected in both the CALPADS and SIS? I think so. Generally, you want the systems to align. Okay.
Hey,
Q1.
Gary, did we get Angelina's Q1 at 3:15? She was asking about Carnegie units for the SCSC.
Boy, thank goodness we have more eyes watching this, because when they pop up, you just completely lose where you're at.
Exactly
thanks,
right.
Q1 from Angelina. What can you tell me about Carnegie units for the SCSC? I have a charter school that does not want to change the college credit course to a different term, so it will not go over 2.0. Am I correct, or is there something I'm missing?
They have to match. So what was submitted, because if not, you'll get an error. Yes, they have to be greater than 2, but they also have to match what was submitted for fall 2, Angelina. I don't know if that fully answers your question, because I don't know if I fully understood it. And so if they didn't submit them for fall 1, I'm sorry, if they didn't submit them for fall 2, then they wouldn't be submitting them because that would be the SCSE. And so if they didn't submit them in the SCSE, then yes, the charter school shouldn't change them in the SCSC, because if not, you'll get a whole nother error. I don't know if anyone remembers that error off the top of their head. But yes, they should be over 2 though as well too. And if they're not over 2, that one I do remember. I think it's like 513 or something like that. SCSC 513, 0513. Go with that.
Okay.
But shouldn't your SIS be able to adjust the calculation depending on the term, or so you may want to check with that too, because normally your SIS should automatically compute it for you.
That's correct too. Yes, Kyron.
And Paul has the error there on screen. Okay, it looks like I have a Q1 from Heather at 3:20. Going back in time a bit, but running DD tool has me wondering if a student's demographic data does not change and they stay enrolled at the same LEA for multiple years, does a new SIMP file need to post for each school year? I'm noticing inconsistencies with this, so would like to know the preferred method. Thanks. I think if there's any change in the student demographics, you would definitely want to update that data.
I would agree with you, Gary, that now the preferred method is submit it when something changes. And way back in the day, it was, hey, you got to submit it every year, and that's when it also included the CELA data when it was known as ELAS data, and it was mandatory every year. Now it's not. So I think that it's submitted if data changes, and if nothing's changed, don't submit one, because that one is a very data intensive file. It's God only knows how many columns at this point, and it just takes a lot of additional processing time when you're uploading it.
Okay. Question 3 from Charlene. Does it really take 48 to 72 hours for TOMS to update a student's status? I had 2 TK students later decided to start in 24-25 school year. I removed their TBDs and no-showed the students 2 days ago. They are still showing actively enrolled with us today. And TOMS, yeah, it's generally 24 to 72 hours.
That comes in with, did you let it process? So you no-showed the students, you updated their TBD, but then you didn't allow that time to process. And so then it's not showing in our files. And so that was, oh, can anyone unmute Thor? Because he gives a better answer. He gives a more defined, or Sarah.
Well, he did say to submit a ticket because he has the power and the tools to troubleshoot those much more in detail than
exactly. I was like, he does it more eloquently than me. So thank you. Thank you, Thor.
Yeah, Thor should be able to unmute himself. He's a co-host too, if he needs to.
I think in this case, he's just wanting a ticket submitted so that he can research it. Question 1 from N in bold font. If we do not offer services for infants, should we wait to request SSIDs for preschool students until they actually turn 3? Or can we request the SSID a couple of weeks before they turn 3 so they can be assessed? Anyone have an answer for that one?
So from the SPED side, if they're only going to be receiving Part B services, then the enrollment would also need to match the third birth date, but I don't have any guidance on when you can request that SSID, I'm sorry to say. If they are receiving infant services at another LEA or county office that's not part of a regional center, then they should already have an SSID and be reported.
And I think when you're creating an SSID, you're allowed to use a future dated enrollment start date that's up to, is it 30 or 60 days? I don't remember the specific on that one.
Okay, and Melissa said, yes, you can request the SID when the parent signs the assessment plan. Okay, a Q2 from Terry. We have a student with an E150 on a Friday and entered the new school site on a Monday. Currently, this is fatal. Will this clear after the end of the year? Do we need to put the enrollment date for a Saturday? Not sure. Our SIS will take Saturday enrollment and it would impact our stats. With an E150, the date has to be in the next calendar date. And Kyron's suggestion was to adjust the exit to a Thursday and start their enrollment on Friday or a Monday and Tuesday.
That's correct.
Question 1 from Eric. We have a student that needs to be tested for special education services on or after July 1st. I was told that we need to enroll the student in the 24-25 school year with the first day of school. This way I can collect an SSID and test the student. If the student does not qualify, we only keep the enrollment record for 1 day. What exit code should I use, or do we exit as a no-show? I believe you would use the N470 no-show. And Kyron just posted a YouTube video for more information. Okay. A Q1 from Elsa. I have a mid for students who are different. I've been asking for some time, and there's a ticket number, for clarification on the known issue 6688, invalid warning on resolution details when different is selected. Does this mean it is a warning? Does this mean it's the warning is invalid? The student will post correctly as different, or does it mean the system will combine the student, which is the warning, which is what the warning says it will do? I believe it will even if it's a warning, it will still combine them. It's just telling you just. Oh, go
Can I
ahead.
hop in, Gary?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
please.
I think the bug is on the warning message itself, because the message is talking about combining would result in a CCE, but in this case, if you've selected different, you're still seeing that warning message. It's not intended for marking different. So if you do hit post, it will continue to mark them as different, not combine them. That message is just specific for those combining, but unfortunately, it's not a dynamic message. It's only supposed to be showing when you're trying to combine the mid. Unfortunately, it's showing even if you try to mark it different.
Don't we have a change in the backlog to fix
We
that,
do.
Meredith?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I thought
are
we
trying
talked
to.
about that.
Yeah, we did talk about it. So we are trying to do it as part of a proof of concept of redoing that mid screen. So it's part of that story now to try to incorporate it there.
It is confusing for sure.
It
Yes.
is. Yes.
Thanks, Meredith. So that update will be coming, Elsa. Q1 from Elizabeth. When a student on an IEP is found no longer eligible, but then 2 or 3 years later found eligible again, do we need to put up a new SWS record? There is an SWS record from when the student was previously eligible, but I'm getting a 606 error. Okay, and there's a plan record for the new eligibility. Maybe this is a ticket to dwell further into specific student. No, as long as there's a change in the status from the next most recent record, it should upload. So you should be able to upload the new eligible and participating record, as long as the record before that is not eligible and participating. Q2 from Heather. Ran a fall 1 data discrepancy tool yesterday just to check, and had many new SIMP 635 F1 errors. Today they have all disappeared, but the missing ed level data that trigger the errors is accurate when I check. Will that error return to the fall DD tool? Ooh, was that one turned off, or I'm not sure. So you had them and then they disappeared, but you didn't do anything. But I'm not sure if in the background they were turned off again or what.
I'm checking. Yes, it looks like it was taking a performance hit on the system, and so they temporarily turned it off while they retooled that.
Okay, so watch out for that one. If it comes back, because from what it looks like is you're saying your information is correct and you don't think you should be receiving that error. So if it does come back, definitely put a ticket in so we can investigate it and include some. Well, we'll look at that.
Yeah, actually, now that I have it open, it looks like it might have been over triggering too. So hopefully those were just making sure you're awake, and they will go away once it gets turned back on.
Okay, well, that helps. Okay.
I think it was disabled. I say that, but now it doesn't actually say that anywhere.
Marty was doing a lot of turning off
He
and turning on.
was, yeah, he was flipping lots of switches yesterday. Uh, checking one more thing here. The 606 E4, which is a bummer, that's the one I was waiting for, got turned off. That's our favorite. Those new students that enrolled with you that you haven't adopted their special education plan yet. So that is currently turned off. We can keep going, Gary. I'm still looking.
Okay. Keyword from Mary. Do you have the link for families to change their own address in the SEBT system after March 29th? I know we will have families calling on us Monday stating that their address is wrong in our SIS, therefore wrong in CALPADS.
No, we don't just yet. That hasn't. It's not a CALPADS link for us. It's a customer service like hotline, but as soon as we do, Mary, we'll gladly provide that information out to all the LEAs.
Okay. Q2 from Anna.
I was just gonna say, I'm sorry, I found what I was looking for. So yes, the SIMP 635 is turned off, and the SCNR 439 F1 is turned off, as well as the SCNR 606 E4. So end of year 4, SCNR 606 is not on right now.
All right, thanks, Angela. Q2 from Anna. I have submitted a ticket regarding a missing parent ed level in the prior year for 55 errors. The second parent that was missing. They were listed in the fall 1 data discrepancies. Today the errors were no longer listed. Will that be coming back? Not sure what error that is being referred to.
I bet you it's the 635.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one's turned off. Okay. Okay, from Larnia, Q1 at 3:32. We have students that were dropped last year because they moved out of the country with no proof. So the student was given an exit code of E140. Now that it's testing period, the student is showing on the report as needing to be tested. We reached out to ETS to ask why, since the student was not enrolled at all this year. The response was that the student will continue to show on the report to be tested until the exit code is updated or the student enrolled at another LEA. In the meantime, the student is also being included in the percent of students not being tested. I did not realize that exit codes had the impact in determination of who needs to be administered in TOMS. Are we understanding this correctly?
Yes, they are.
Should they be changing that E140 to a different code?
No. If they want to be able to change it to, and E140 is a dropout unknown, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I would continue to work with your LEA to go ahead and try and find that student. If so, like, have they moved out of state? Have they moved out of country or
That's just
so?
interesting
Because
because she said they moved out of country. Why wouldn't you use the move out of country code?
that is correct. And so if you have that confirmed information that yes, you verified that they've moved out of country, then yes, I would use that. So then therefore then that student won't populate on your testing. Thor, correct me if I'm wrong though, because I don't remember the full details right now. If they're already on there though, they'll show on one report, but then they might not show on the other after they've updated the code because it sounds like their testing has already begun.
Okay.
And Thor will put that in the chat. I'm sorry, do we know the person who asked this question?
That was Larnie.
Larnie. Thank you, Larnie. And Thor's got it.
Q2 for Anna. She wants us to repeat the errors that were turned off, and is there a listing of those available?
No, it was kind of dynamic. We had a release go in yesterday morning, and as they were monitoring, as we typically do after a release, they saw some problems with those three. So it was the new error SIMP 635 F1, which is second parent ed level is missing. SCNR 439 F1, and I don't have that one on the top of my head of what that is, and SCNR 606 E4, which is the students with disabilities that don't have a plan adopted by your district yet.
Okay. Okay. At 3:35, Sandy Madrid has a kind comment. As we are beginning to depend on the DD reports, do you think notifications can be added to the welcome page of CALPADS when certain of the DDs are being worked on? So this kind of goes along to said that would sure help us manage our time on task if we have more information.
That's a really, really good idea. So I will write that down.
Okay. And I believe now I am at the end of the questions.
Gary, at the bottom of the chat, I did add the CALPADS regional PowerPoint in there. There was something about EBT. There was some discussion in there.
Thanks,
and
Marshall.
there's some links inside of there.
And I did have a follow-up to the moved out of the country questions when there is no proof. Are the ones with no proof, should that be left as an E140, or would it be okay to change those to a 240 moved out of country?
No, you have to have some type of proof. You have to your LEA has to do, and I think it says in their due diligence is what the code set says. And so in order to locate the student. Now, due diligence, that takes an abundance of, not an abundance, that takes not a multitude. That takes a variety of people. I can describe to you like what my last LEA looked like, or one of my last LEAs looked like. We had a resource officer that went out and conducted like interviews or so. If your LEA doesn't have resource officers, we had like our community liaisons, do so. But we went and we tracked down those students. We gathered social media information. We gathered neighbor information. We contacted, all of their emergency contacts and families. And so again, however you're coming to that conclusion, if you can, absolutely verify it that says, yes, spoke to this person, this time, this date, I spoke to the grandmother. Grandmother told me, yes, they moved out of country. Yes, that's a valid, that's a valid reasoning, or that's a factual and valid person. So yes, you can like accept that answer. But again, you should have, I called it an exit policy. So what your LEAs call it, you all really need to talk to who your child welfare and attendance monitors are and ensure that you have that step-by-step guidance like codified out at your LEA.
Okay, and at 3:40, it looks like Rebecca from Fresno COA posted a resource. So thanks, Rebecca.
Okay, Rebecca.
Okay, Q1 from Shelley at 3:41. Was a change made to the view submission screen to default to records submitted by your account recently? Is there any way to change my default to show all users? That's a good question, Shelley, because it happens to me too. I was checking, as I do all day, submissions, and I was thinking, well, this LA didn't submit anything. And when I looked, I was like, oh, because it's looking for ones that I submitted, and I'm not submitting anything. So I have to always go back up and select all. So was there a change, or what?
There was a change, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it was requested, I want to say by our COE user group a while back. So, and as a state user, Shelley, I know that we can toggle to say all. I don't know if you have that option. Is there anything in your drop down when you through the user ID.
She doesn't want to change it every time.
Well, I believe the service desk would vote for that as well, Shelley, but
Sure.
we did get the request from the COEs though. So
I know I had a first couple of tickets. I was saying, what was your submission? You didn't submit anything. And they said, we did. And I'd like, oh, it's because I forgot to select it back up to all.
So what I do is I just keep that screen open all day long. So I work on other screens so I don't have to keep toggling my name off of it.
It's a good idea. All righty, we're at the end of the questions again. Are there any other questions? Had some good questions today.
I think everyone thinks this is a respectable quitting time, Gary.
Okay.
11 minutes in wasn't.
No, I know that was like, that would have been a new record, but well, what does everyone think? Should we call it? No more questions?
Sounds good to me, Gary.
Well, for all of you that are having your spring break next week, hope you have a nice time if you're indeed taking the time off, or if you're still working but everyone else is off. Yeah.
You know, I'm like the auctioneer kind of thing. I probably would have called it at 3:11.
Okay.
Going once, going twice. Oh, there you go. Kind of thing.
All righty. Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and call it. Thanks everyone for attending, and thanks everyone for helping me out today. And we will be back next weekend, even if some of you are on spring break. We will be here. And just a reminder, we will not be there on Friday. So no tickets submitted Friday will be answered until the following Monday. Okay, see everyone
enjoy
later.
your spring break, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.